The massive crystal chambers of the Galactic Council buzzed with worried energy as beings from 47 different worlds gathered together. This was not a normal meeting. Something big had happened, and everyone was scared. Ambassador Veldar from the Vorthan Empire stood in the center of the room. His 4 arms moved wildly as he spoke, and bright pictures appeared in the air above him. The pictures showed something that made all the council members very upset. "Look at this," Veldar said, his voice coming through the translation machines. "These humans have broken every rule we have about expanding in space. In just a few months, they have built colonies on 17 different planets that we thought no one could live on." The floating pictures changed to show dead, rocky worlds that had been turned into green, living planets. The council members whispered to each other in shock. How was this possible? Counselor Prime HFY was the most important leader in the council. She looked like a giant snake with arms, and she wrapped her long body around the speaking platform. She raised one scaled hand, and everyone became quiet. "This is very bad news," she said in her deep voice. "These humans showed up in our part of space only 2 years ago. Now they are spreading everywhere like a disease. We must stop them before they take over everything." The other council members nodded their heads. They were all afraid. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had been in charge of who could live where in space. Every new species that wanted to expand had to ask permission first. Every species had to follow the rules. Every species had to be afraid of the Council's power. But not the humans. Director Lee Hyun worked for something called the Terran Colonial Administration. He was sitting in his office on a space station near Earth when the Council's message arrived. The message was not polite. It was an order. The Council demanded that humans come to their meeting immediately. They wanted humans to explain why they had built colonies without permission. They wanted humans to agree to follow all the Council's rules. They wanted humans to be afraid, just like every other species. Lee Hyun read the message 3 times. Then he showed it to his assistant, Kim Min. "What should we tell them?" Kim Min asked. Lee Hyun thought for a moment. "The truth," he said. "We don't need their permission." The message he sent back was very short and very polite. "Thank you for your invitation. We respectfully decline to attend." When this message reached the Galactic Council, something happened that had never happened before in 3,000 years of galactic history. The council chambers became completely silent. Veldar stared at the message floating in front of him. He read it again, thinking maybe the translation machines had made a mistake. But the message was clear. "Decline," Counselor Vexhai shouted. His crystal body turned bright red with anger. "Nobody declines the council. Nobody says no to us." Other council members started talking all at once. Some were angry. Some were confused. All of them were scared, though they didn't want to admit it. "This is impossible," said Counselor Mordak from the Beetle Worlds. "Every species in the galaxy knows they must obey the Council. How dare these humans refuse us?" HFY's eyes glowed with cold light. She was the most powerful being in this part of space, and no one had ever said no to her before. "Send them another message," she ordered. "Make it very clear what happens to species that don't obey us." But deep inside, HFY felt something she hadn't felt in hundreds of years. Fear. The humans hadn't just said no to the Council. They had said no like it didn't matter. Like the Council's threats meant nothing to them. Director Park Jimin was in charge of gathering information about other species. He had been watching the humans for months, and what he saw worried him very much. Human colonies weren't just appearing on new worlds. They were appearing fully built, as if someone had picked up entire cities and put them down on empty planets overnight. Their spaceships moved in ways that didn't make sense. They appeared and disappeared without using any technology the Council understood. They could travel faster than light, but not in any way that Council scientists could detect or copy. "Send the war fleet," Veldar demanded, hitting the speaking platform with all 4 of his fists. "If these humans won't come willingly, we'll force them to come." HFY nodded slowly. "Contact Admiral Korth. Tell him to take the 5th Fleet to human space. Show these primitives what happens when you ignore the Galactic Council." As the Council members voted to send their most powerful warships to force the humans to obey, None of them noticed a small detail that would soon terrify them all. In every report about human colonies, in every picture of human spaceships, in every piece of information they had gathered about this new species, one thing was missing. The humans had never asked for help. They had never traded with other species. They had never seemed to need anything from anyone else in the galaxy. And that was very strange indeed. The Galactic Council's biggest war fleet moved through space toward the human colonies. Admiral Korth commanded 50 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. He sat in his command chair on the flagship Eternal Dominion and smiled. He had destroyed many rebellious species before. The humans would learn to fear him, just like all the others. These humans think they are special, Admiral Korth told his officers, but they have never faced the Council's full power. When we are done with them, they will beg to follow our rules. Meanwhile, back on the Council station, the leaders were getting more worried every day. New reports kept coming in about the humans, and each report made less sense than the last one. Counselor Vexhi's crystal body flickered between red and purple as he read the latest intelligence files. "Look at this," he said to the other council members. "The humans have built a colony inside a radiation cloud that should kill any living thing. But their people are walking around like it's a beautiful garden." Director Park Jimin studied the reports with growing fear. The humans weren't just building impossible colonies. They were doing things that broke the basic laws of science. Their spaceships had no engines that anyone could see, but they moved faster than ships 3 times their size. Their cities used no fuel, but they had unlimited power. "How are they doing this?" Park Jimin asked the science team. "Where does their energy come from? How do they build entire cities so fast?" His best scientist, Dr. Zekanaar, shook his head. "We don't know. Their technology doesn't follow any patterns we understand. It's like they learned science from completely different rules." The Council sent their second message to the humans. This time, it was not polite at all. The message said that humans had to come to the Council immediately, or the war fleet would attack their colonies. The message listed all the terrible things that would happen if the humans continued to disobey. Director Kim Tae received the message at the Terran Colonial Administration headquarters. He was a calm man who rarely got excited about anything. He read the Council's threats twice, then called his assistant. "What should I tell them?" his assistant asked. Kim Tae sighed. "The same thing we told them before. We're not interested." The message he sent back was even shorter than the first one. "Our position remains unchanged. Please remove your vessels from our space." When Admiral Korth received this message, he laughed so hard that his whole bridge crew could hear him. "Remove our vessels?" he said, wiping tears from his eyes. "These stupid humans don't understand who they're talking to. We are the Galactic Council's 5th Fleet. We have conquered 100 worlds." He turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare all guns. Target their nearest colony. When they see their cities burning, they'll change their minds about negotiating." But something strange was happening throughout the human territories. On every human world, people were going about their normal daily lives. They worked in their gardens, played with their children, and built new buildings. They acted like they didn't know that the galaxy's most powerful war fleet was coming to destroy them. Director Lee Hyun watched the council ships on his monitoring screens. His aide, Officer Song Min, stood beside him looking worried. "Sir," Song Min said, "shouldn't we prepare our defenses? The council fleet has enough firepower to destroy entire planets." Lee Hyun smiled quietly. "They're not here to destroy planets," he said. "They're here to make us afraid, but we're not afraid of them." "Why not, sir?" Song Min asked. "Their weapons could kill millions of our people." Because Lee Hyun said, still watching the screens, "Their weapons only work if we let them work." Song Min didn't understand what that meant, but he trusted his director. Lee Hyun had been right about everything else so far. On the council station, Counselor Prime Yethkai was having trouble sleeping. Something about the human response bothered her. Most species, when faced with the Council's war fleet, would either surrender immediately or start preparing for a desperate fight. But the humans were doing neither. They were acting like the fleet didn't exist at all. "Maybe they don't understand how powerful we are," suggested Counselor Mordak. "Maybe their translation machines are broken." HFY shook her snake-like head. No, their translation is perfect. They understand exactly what we're threatening to do to them. Then why aren't they scared? Vexhai asked, his crystal body now a worried blue color. HFY had been asking herself the same question for days. Every species in the galaxy feared the Council's power. Every species knew that the Council's war fleets could destroy worlds and kill billions. Every species understood that it was better to surrender than to fight. Every species except the humans. Admiral Kor's fleet reached the edge of human space and took up attack positions around a human colony world called New Sol. The planet looked peaceful and green, with small cities spread across the surface. It would be easy to destroy. Send one final message. Admiral Korth ordered, tell them they have 1 hour to surrender, or we will begin bombardment. The humans sent back a message almost immediately. It came from Captain Oseo, who seemed to be in charge of the colony's defense. The message said, we understand your position. Please reconsider your actions. Violence will not achieve your goals here. Admiral Korth laughed again. 1 hour, he said. Then we show them what happens when you say no to the Galactic Council. Admiral Korth stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the countdown timer. 59 minutes had passed since he gave the humans their final warning. In 1 minute, he would order his fleet to attack the peaceful colony world below. All ships, prepare to fire, he commanded into his communication device. Across the 50 warships of the Fifth Fleet, weapons officers placed their hands on the firing controls. These were the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, capable of turning entire cities into dust. The countdown reached 0. Fire all weapons. Admiral Korth shouted. His weapons officer pressed the firing button. Nothing happened. Sir, the officer said, confusion in his voice, the weapons aren't responding. Admiral Korth frowned. Check the power systems. Sir, called another officer from across the bridge. We have no power at all. Suddenly, every light on the bridge went out. The humming of the life support systems stopped. The gentle vibration of the engines died away. The flagship Eternal Dominion went completely dark and silent. Admiral Korth tried to speak into his communication device, but it was dead. He couldn't contact any of his other ships. He couldn't contact the Council. He couldn't even turn on the emergency lighting. All around the human colony, 50 of the galaxy's most powerful warships drifted in space like dead rocks. No weapons, no engines, no life support. The crews inside were trapped in darkness, breathing recycled air from emergency tanks. On his bridge, Admiral Korth felt something he hadn't felt in 20 years of military service. Pure terror. Then the human ships appeared. They came from nowhere, materializing in space like ghosts becoming solid. Sleek vessels that seemed to bend light around them, making them hard to look at directly. There were only 12 human ships, but they moved with a grace that made the Council's warships look like clumsy metal boxes. Captain Kim Woo's voice came through the emergency communication systems that somehow still worked on the Council ships. His voice was calm and polite. This is Captain Kim Woo of the Terran vessel Harmony. We are here to provide assistance to your crews. Your safety is our primary concern. Admiral Korth tried to respond, but his communication systems were completely dead. He could only listen. We understand that your life support systems have failed. Captain Kim Woo continued. We are prepared to evacuate your personnel to our ships, where we will provide food, medical care, and comfortable quarters during your journey home. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Korth's officers looked at each other in confusion and fear. They were the most feared military force in the galaxy, and now they needed rescue from the very people they had come to attack. Human shuttles began docking with the Council warships. The shuttle doors opened, and human rescue teams entered wearing simple uniforms and carrying medical equipment. They moved through the dark ships with small lights, helping confuse and frighten Council crew members. Please don't be afraid, said one human rescue worker to a group of scared Vorthan soldiers. We're here to help. Is anyone injured? Do you need medical attention? The Council crews had expected to fight fierce battles against desperate human defenders. Instead, they found themselves being treated like honored guests by people who seemed genuinely worried about their health and comfort. Admiral Korth was among the last to be evacuated from his ship. As he walked through the corridors of the human vessel Harmony, he was amazed by what he saw. The ship was clean and bright, with soft lighting and comfortable furniture. It felt more like a luxury hotel than a warship. Captain Kim Woo met him in a pleasant room with large windows, showing the stars outside. The human captain was younger than Admiral Korth had expected, with kind eyes and a gentle manner. "Admiral," Captain Kim Woo said, "I hope you and your crew are comfortable. Our medical staff tells me that no one was seriously hurt during the evacuation. That's very good news." Admiral Korth stared at the human. "You disabled our entire fleet," he said. "How?" Captain Kim Woo looked sad. "We didn't want to do that. We asked your leaders to remove your ships from our space. When you didn't listen, we had no choice but to protect our people." "But how did you do it?" Admiral Korth insisted. "Our ships have the best shields in the galaxy. Our power systems are protected against every kind of attack we know about." "We don't attack your systems, Admiral," Captain Kim Woo explained patiently. "We simply ask them to stop working for a while. When your people are safely away, your ships will work normally again." Admiral Korth couldn't understand this answer. It was impossible. You couldn't just ask machines to stop working. Technology didn't work that way. Over the next few days, as the human ships carried the Council crews home, something strange happened. The Council soldiers and officers found themselves being treated better than they had ever been treated before. The humans gave them delicious food, comfortable beds, and entertainment during the long journey. When anyone felt sick, human doctors provided excellent medical care. Most surprising of all, the humans seemed genuinely interested in learning about their passengers' home worlds and families. They asked polite questions about Council culture and shared stories about their own lives. Director Song Min of the Terran Diplomatic Corps sent a message to the Galactic Council while the rescue was happening. The message was broadcast on all frequencies so that every government in the galaxy could hear it. "We harbor no ill will toward your people," the message said. "Your leaders' ambitions, however, are not our concern. We ask only to be left in peace to live our lives as we choose." When the Council crews finally reached their home stations, they brought with them reports that terrified their leaders. The humans had technology that worked in ways no one could understand or copy. But more frightening than their technology was their attitude. They had treated their enemies with kindness. Counselor Prime Yefkai wrapped her snake-like body around her private meeting chamber as she read the reports from Admiral Korth's rescue crew. Each report made her more afraid than the last one. She called for an emergency meeting with only the most trusted intelligence officers in the galaxy. Agent Coordinator Rixtau arrived first. He was from the Hegemony Intelligence Service, and he had spent his whole life gathering secrets from enemy species. But now he looked tired and worried as he placed his files on the table. "The reports from our rescue crews all say the same thing," Rixtau said. "Human technology doesn't work the way technology should work. Their ships have no engines that anyone can see, but they move faster than our best warships. Their cities use no fuel, but they have unlimited power for everything they need." Yefkai studied the pictures that Rixtau showed her. Human colonies existed in places where nothing should be able to live. There were cities floating inside clouds of deadly radiation. There were settlements built on the surfaces of stars. There were research stations that seemed to exist partially inside black holes. "This is impossible," Yefkai said. "No species can survive in those places. The radiation would kill them in seconds. The gravity would crush them flat." "That's what we thought, too," said Director Choi Un, who worked for the Human Affairs Analysis Department. "But we sent spy probes to watch these colonies from far away. The humans living there seem perfectly healthy and happy. Children play in the streets. People work in gardens. They act like living next to a black hole is the most normal thing in the galaxy." Science Coordinator Kim Dae joined the meeting carrying a thick stack of research papers. He had been studying human technology for months, trying to understand how it worked. His findings made everyone in the room feel cold with fear. "We tried to copy their power systems," Kim Dae explained. "We studied the energy readings from their ships and cities. But we can't find any source for their power. It's like they're drawing energy from somewhere that doesn't exist." "What do you mean?" Yefkai asked. Kim Day showed them charts and graphs that meant nothing to the politicians, but everything to him. Every machine needs fuel. Every power source leaves traces that we can detect. Solar power comes from stars. Nuclear power leaves radiation. Fusion power creates waste products. But human power systems don't have any of these things. They produce unlimited clean energy from nothing at all. Agent Rixtal added more disturbing information. We tried to trade with them. Every species in the galaxy needs something from other species. Raw materials, technology, food, something. But the humans don't want anything from us. They don't need our metals because they can make better materials than we've ever seen. They don't need our food because they can grow everything they want. They don't need our technology because theirs is thousands of years ahead of ours. Director Choi opened her own files. That's not the worst part. The worst part is that they don't seem to want anything from us at all. Most species expand their territories because they need more resources or more space for their population. But humans aren't expanding for those reasons. They're expanding because they want to. What do they want? HFY demanded. This was the question that had been keeping her awake for weeks. The intelligence officers looked at each other nervously. Finally, Director Choi spoke. We don't think they want anything from us at all. That's what makes them so dangerous. Dr. Zekanear, the Council's best scientist, had been quietly studying data in the corner of the room. Now he spoke up, and his voice was shaking. I've been analyzing the way their ships move through space. They don't use faster-than-light engines like we do. They don't bend space or create wormholes. They simply appear where they want to be and disappear from where they don't want to be. How is that possible? HFY asked. It's not possible, Dr. Zekanear replied. Not according to any science we understand. It's like they've learned to ignore the basic laws of physics. Agent Coordinator Rixtal showed them spy videos from human colonies. The videos showed human families living normal, peaceful lives. Parents worked at jobs they seemed to enjoy. Children went to schools and played games. Everyone looked healthy and happy. They're not warriors, Rixtal said. They're not conquerors. They're just people living their lives. But they're living their lives with technology so advanced that they might as well be gods compared to us. The room became very quiet as everyone thought about what this meant. Director Park Jimin, who had been listening silently, finally spoke. We keep asking what the humans want from us, he said slowly. But maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the real question is, what if we're so far below them that they don't even think about us at all? This idea terrified everyone in the room more than anything else they had discussed. The Galactic Council had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. They were used to being the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Every other species feared them, respected them, or wanted something from them. But the humans acted like the Council didn't exist at all. It's like we're insects to them. HFY said quietly. They don't hate us or want to hurt us. They just don't care about us enough to notice we're here. Director Choi nodded grimly. And that might be the most dangerous thing of all. The Galactic Council's great meeting hall was almost empty. Only a few brave representatives still sat in their seats, while most others had already packed their belongings and left for their home worlds. The air felt heavy with fear and defeat. Counselor Prime HFY coiled her long body around the speaking platform one last time. In her hands, she held the final intelligence report about humanity. She had read it 3 times, and each time it made her feel smaller and more helpless. The humans have built a new colony, she announced to the few remaining council members. It exists inside the corona of a star. The surface temperature, there is millions of degrees, hot enough to melt any known material instantly. But human children are playing in playground there. Counselor Vexhi's crystal body flickered weakly. He had lost most of his bright colors over the past few weeks, turning a dull gray that showed his hopelessness. How? He whispered. How can anything live inside a star? Agent Rixtal stood up slowly. He looked like he had aged 10 years in the past month. We don't know. We can't even guess. Their latest colony ships were seen entering the event horizon of a black hole. According to everything we know about science, they should have been stretched apart and destroyed. Instead, they sent us a cheerful message saying they had found a nice place to build a new city. Dr. Zekanayar, the Council's chief scientist, laughed bitterly. It was not a happy sound. I've given up trying to understand their technology. Yesterday, our spy probes detected humans having a picnic on the surface of a neutron star. The gravity there should have crushed them into atoms, but they were playing music and dancing. Director Park Jimin read from his latest report with a voice that shook slightly. 3 more human colonies appeared overnight. One is built inside a gas giant storm system. Another exists in a dimension that our instruments can't even detect properly. The third one seems to be partly inside normal space and partly somewhere else entirely. The few remaining council members sat in stunned silence. For 3,000 years, they had been the rulers of the galaxy. Every species had bowed before their power. Every world had trembled at their commands. But now they felt like children who had discovered that adults existed. And those adults were so far beyond them that comparison was meaningless. Counselor Mordak from the Beetle Worlds spoke in a tiny voice. What do we do? Yefkai looked around the nearly empty chamber. She remembered when this room had been filled with proud representatives from dozens of species, all confident in their power and importance. Now it felt like a tomb. We tried to force them to obey our rules, she said quietly. We sent our most powerful fleet to threaten them. They disabled our ships without firing a single weapon, then rescued our crews and treated them better than we treat our own people. We tried to understand their technology, Dr. Zekaner added, but it's like they're using science from a completely different universe. Our best minds can't even begin to guess how their simplest machines work. Director Choi Un from Human Affairs stood up. She had been studying humans longer than anyone else in the council, and her conclusions were the most frightening of all. We kept asking what the humans want from us, but I finally understand the answer. They don't want anything from us because we have nothing they need. We're not their enemies. We're not their friends. We're just irrelevant. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Irrelevant. The Galactic Council, the most powerful organization in this part of the galaxy, was completely irrelevant to humanity. They're not ignoring us because they're rude. Yefkai realized they're ignoring us because we don't matter to them. We're like ants trying to negotiate with giants. The giants aren't cruel to the ants. They just don't notice them. Agent Rixtau brought out one final report. Our spies monitor human communications for weeks, looking for any mention of the Galactic Council. Do you know how many times they talked about us? He paused. 0. Not once. We don't exist in their conversations at all. Counselor Vexai's crystal body went completely transparent, a sign of total despair among his people. So what happens now? Do they destroy us? Do they conquer our worlds? That's the truly terrifying part, Director Park Jimin said. I don't think they'll do anything to us at all. We're beneath their notice. As long as we don't bother them, they'll probably forget we exist. Just then, a communication alert sounded in the empty chamber. Everyone jumped nervously. A holographic message appeared in the air, marked with the official seal of the Terran Colonial Administration. The message was from Director Yun Su, and it was addressed to all members of the Galactic Council. His voice was polite and friendly, like someone saying goodbye to distant acquaintances. We appreciate your understanding of our position, the message said. We wish your species prosperity and peace in your individual endeavors. May you find wisdom in your journeys among the stars. The message ended, and the chamber fell silent. Yefkai slowly uncoiled from the speaking platform. Evacuate the council station, she ordered. Send word to all member species. The Galactic Council is dissolved. As the last few representatives gathered their belongings and prepared to leave, they all understood the same terrible truth. Humanity hadn't conquered them or destroyed them. Something far worse had happened. Humanity had made them realize they were never as important as they thought they were.